Welcome to the show, everybody. We are super honored to have on with us today Justin Tabb. He is the founder and main man over at Substratum, which, as you all know, has been an absolutely hot coin recently. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
It's absolutely great. Now, I just want to start off real quick for anybody who maybe has just seen you in the charts and seen the gains but hasn't really looked into your project. Can you just give us the quick elevator pitch? What is Substratum doing?
Sure. So basically, Substratum, the goal of Substratum is to decentralize the web. Basically, take the centralization out of it. Where, if you're not familiar, the way websites are currently hosted is basically, you set up a domain with somebody like GoDaddy, and you set up hosting with somebody like maybe Amazon or GoDaddy, and your site is hosted in a very centralized place, which is easy to do, right? Because it's been perfected over time. But it basically enables itself to be controlled either by governments or by corporations, where if they don't agree with something, they can remove it, or they can, and you've seen a lot of it in the news through both censorship and net neutrality stuff that's real hot right now, where they can go and they can remove it, and they can say, we're not going to allow this. We disagree with your political ideology maybe, or your religious ideology or whatever. So obviously things that are illegal, that's outside of that purview, but things that are legal and maybe just aren't liked should be, we have a right to free speech in this country, and we believe that the web should be a free and open place. And that's really what Substratum's all about.
That's amazing. This is a topic that's been on my radar politically for quite a time, and it's frustrating because you just know the political class doesn't have your interests in mind. And in New Zealand, our democracy is a little more reactive in that sense, but nevertheless we tend to follow the line of what's going on in the US. We signed up for the TPP and stuff like that at the behest of America, and we became the banner boys for it. But what the US does, others will follow. And they've done a study in the States. It was something like over the past 30-40 years, something like 96% of the legislation that has been passed actually went against popular opinion and was in the favor of corporate interests. And so I heard about this net neutrality issue, and I thought, well, it's just we're never going to get a political solution to it. We have to do something different. So when I hear about projects like yours, I go, this is it. This is how it's done. And people think this is just a China problem. This is just an Iran problem. This is an everybody problem. And this net neutrality ruling absolutely, is massive. And so can you break down a little bit for anybody who's kind of not, up with net neutrality? Exactly what does this mean for somebody? Like, why is it so important to have this? Like, what are the implications? What can be done, basically?
So currently, basically, we are, net neutral, and for those of you who are not familiar, there's a vote coming up in the U.S. on December 14th, where they're basically trying to repeal net neutrality, and they're trying to say, okay, we're not going to have this anymore. But basically, what it means is that without net neutrality, companies can pay for basically an internet fast lane, is kind of the lingo that they use, where they say, okay, we're going to charge you more, maybe let's say $9.99 more to get fast YouTube or to get fast Netflix, right? And so what that does is that makes, or we're going to charge the corporate people more, right? So we're going to say, if Netflix wants to pay X millions of dollars, then we're going to give them the fast lane through all the ISPs, right? Well, so what this does is basically it kind of beats down the little guy who wants to have an up and coming product or an up and coming idea that they want to put out there, or a vision that they want to put out. Like, so it basically, it just kind of, it caters to that big business where they can get the basically preferential treatment, I guess, is the idea, based on how much you're able to pay or whatever like that. So to be net neutral, I mean, I really believe is the intention of the internet. I mean, we want to be able to freely communicate and freely share ideas, and that's how the internet has grown so fast. That's how technology grows in leaps and bounds. And when you start putting limits on that and rules and regulations around it, then you have a problem. And so, we're very much in favor of stopping the repeal of net neutrality that's happening. We actually have a kind of a post and promotion out on Twitter and Facebook, where if you'll reshare this infographic that we put out, then you're entered to win 10,000 substrate, which is currently valued at about $3,000, and we're doing that for 2 people, just for hitting share, right? Because it's important.
Go do that, guys. Seriously, go do that. Hit
Yeah,
a button, be in to win $3 grand.
Hit a button, win $3 grand today, right? So you know that, but that's a short-term solution, like you say. That's the political solution, and eventually that will run out. So our idea is basically. And even Mark Cuban recently put a post out about this. Well, why don't you go out and create a mesh network of computers and all this and that? And we're like, yeah, we're doing that.
Yeah.
So like, you know, like his idea, like we're on it, Mark. So you know, people are saying basically, if you don't like the political solution, why don't you come up with a technological solution around it? And that's what we're doing. So so it will solve a lot of that. And also, you know, and as we go further along, solve more of it. But it does. You know, like you mentioned, China, that was one of the original, you know, ideas behind it, because there is a huge problem with censorship in China, and they do have hundreds of millions of internet users that can't reach basically the entire internet. And so this will also solve that problem with censorship. And that's one of the main goals. It just happens that net neutrality is very hot right now, and it is something that also we address. So we are kind of, you know, obviously trying to use that to bring attention to what we're doing, because it solves that problem. But at the same time, it also does solve the internet censorship problem, like I mentioned early on, where people can, because currently, like from China now, right? So they would have to use a VPN, right, to reach basically, let's call the whole internet, the free internet, or something like Tor, right? Well, most people don't, you know, understand Tor or even know about it, the average person, right? And then VPNs are being cracked down on in China. I mean, there's articles out there further down our Twitter feed from Wired Magazine and things like that, where they are cracking down on them, particularly the sale of them, is my understanding more. One guy during our ICO, I remember posting the article up for it, received 9 months in jail for selling VPN services to basically Chinese citizens, which is crazy. So I'm not sure if they're to that level for using them yet, but they are cracking down. That's well known. I mean, you can just go and type internet censorship or internet or China VPN and look at the most recent articles everywhere. It's you know, it's well known. That's what's happening. So if they can effectively crack down on that and get rid of it, then they have no other way to reach the rest of the internet. Well, with our solution, it puts the burden of basically the burden of pulling in content from around the internet on the node, the person that's running the node and is earning the substrate, and basically the third party user who wants to just reach the rest of the web doesn't have to use a VPN, doesn't need a VPN. It's basically sort of VPN-less VPN is what I tell people. So it's like a VPN without a VPN. But it's a great solution, we believe, and we're excited about it.
It's got to be easy for people to use, and this is the key that I think some crypto projects don't understand. Like, you just got to do this and that and that and that, and jump through this loop over here, and you get over here, and before you know it, you'll be at the promised land.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and so that's something we've really tried to. If you go out and look on some of our YouTube channel or our Twitter feed, where we're actually kind of rerunning some of the older stuff because we've had so many new followers. We're calling it like the Substratum Basics series. And if you look at like the user interfaces that we're using and compare them to the average crypto project, it's very different, because most projects in the crypto sphere are geared towards a very technical person, because most people who invest in cryptocurrency right now are very technical, because it's a difficult process to use, and that's something I want to change at a later date or improve on at a later date. But at least for this part, you know, we need to ensure that it's, you know, one-click software, sort of just install, click and go. So what we're doing with basically the nodes serving up content, it would be the equivalent to like a Bitcoin miner or an Ethereum miner, where they're using machine resources and basically donating that to the decentralized network. And in return, they're receiving cryptocurrency, right? So, but ours is all point and click. I mean, I'm not a miner by any stake now. I've gone through the process of setting up mining on various platforms like Bitcoin and Ethereum, just to see how difficult it was, right? How difficult to get from beginning to the end, where I'm actually mining and I'm actually earning currency. And it's hard. I mean, like to go from, I mean, it's not, I mean, you know, for
Yeah, you got to be
average,
dedicated. You really do.
yeah. I mean, you have to know, I mean, you have to be comfortable with command line, you know, interface for most of it, you know. I know things like Vertcoin are trying to change that and stuff, and that's admirable, right? But to do Bitcoin or Ethereum, any of the big ones now, they're not easy. And so we really, when we set out to start, we said, okay, it has to be something that if my mother wanted to earn, you know, passive income, she can go click, download, install, how much, okay, 40% of my hard drive,
Yep.
you know, 60% of my internet and 100% of my internet connection from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. go. You know, and that's basically, that's the idea, is for it to be that simple. And then there she's receiving it. You know, now the process of cashing that cryptocurrency in, that's not my problem at this point.
That's a difference.
But, you know,
that'll get better as time goes on. That'll get better. We have a lot of decentralized exchange solutions, you know.
Yeah.
I got a good one for you. Let's call it mining freedom.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's ultimately our goal, is just to bring, you know, promote freedom. I mean, really, I mean, and that's the web is a great place. We're not trying to, as we tell people all the time, not trying to reinvent the internet. There's lots of things that work about it. So, you know, we mentioned about kind of talking about the difference between us and some of their competitors. Like, there are other companies out there who have been trying to do this for a long time. And I won't name their names, but the difference are generally that they want you to install their own browser. So they, you know, my own, like the Substratum browser. Well, you know, people don't want to do that. They want to just use Safari. They want to use Chrome, or they want to be able to use their mobile device, right? So we knew we couldn't do that, because I was trying to basically reinvent the way the internet works. Some of the others, you have to use like their subdomain URL. So it'd be like, you know, justin.decentralizedweb.com or something, you know, I won't say the name again, but
yeah,
that doesn't work. I mean, if I'm a company, I want my own branded URL, so that doesn't work. So where other people, and where that breaks down is other companies haven't solved the DNS problem, fully decentralizing DNS. And that's something that we have done. We recently have done our first set of production tests, a global production test, and verified that it does work across the world. So that was very exciting to get done, because, you know, we basically selected a few members from our community. Our community's massive, so we couldn't use everybody, or it would have just been too delayed. So we tried to just pick people that were in various parts of the world, so we could verify that the traffic routes all the way around the world.
Including people in China, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Including people in China, including people in, actually the very first test was down in your neck of the woods. If you're in New Zealand, it was Australia.
There you go.
So very first global test of the Substratum network was in Australia. So yeah, so pretty much everywhere. And then our next test will be a little bit more technical. We're rolling into that with verifying hops and things like that. And so we're actually still seeking some additional testers. We've decided to open it up for a few more, to try to get some really technical people from all over the world to help us out with that. But yeah, I mean, it's just exciting to see it start, you know, what the stuff that we've been working on and, you know, been promoting and getting people excited about is, you know, come up and just actually work, you know, is very exciting moments. So the very cool stuff.
That's amazing. You know, the fact that it's there, it's working, tested it, people in China are good. It's going to be game changing for these people. And obviously they have to find out about it, but this is a thing that some people kind of don't realize. Like, yeah, we've got the great firewall set up around China.
Right.
But information exchanges are still happening, you know, even though there was a big crackdown on cryptocurrencies, it went peer to peer. People were, you know, chatting on chat boards saying, hey, I got some Bitcoin. You want to exchange that real quick for something? And, you know, people were still doing it. The information can't be stopped. And this technological revolution that we're going through right now, and technology is exactly like you guys are developing, make everything so incredibly exciting. You know, when I first got into cryptocurrency, I said, wow, Bitcoin, this is amazing. I mean, I could just send money across the world to anybody, anytime, anywhere for a tiny fee without having to go to the bank. This is groundbreaking. Totally changes everything. Then I started to realize all these other problems and think, wait a second. Can cryptocurrencies, can blockchain technology fix this? The answer is yes. And
yes. Yep.
Yeah. Very, very cool. Now, obviously, we don't want to, you know, name names in the competition space, but one thing I wanted to think, though, is I know a lot of other people are developing you know, Internet 2.0 kind of solutions, or putting satellites into space and all this stuff to make new internets and all this stuff. Now, do you see any potential collaboration with any of those projects?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Actually, recently someone suggested something on our Twitter feed and mentioned two different ICOs, or I guess you would call them like maybe blockchain companies out there. And you know, I was like, we just put a reply out there that yeah, we'd be interested in talking to anybody. I mean, you know, we're, you know, wisdom in the multitude of the council, right? There's, you know, collaborative, two heads are better than one. Just believe that, you know, we don't know all the answers to everything. We're good at a lot of things, but if somebody knows a part better than us, or they're moving faster than us, and we can work together to get where we're going, I mean, absolutely. So there is one out there that we've reached out to, and they've apparently been open to it. So we haven't made the connection yet, but you know, we'll certainly announce it when we do. But yeah, I mean, we don't want to, you know, be the end all be all of anything. I mean, we believe that for decentralizing the internet, we've got the right solution for that. When it comes to hooking into all these other things, you know, absolutely. I mean, that's the beauty of development, and you know, so we absolutely think that at some point, whether that's now with this other blockchain company, or in the future, that we will of course be working with other companies to move things along faster. I mean, I think that's just the way it's done. If you try to solve every problem yourself, you know, you only know so much, including your team, you know, and you'd be foolish not to want to reach out to other partners. So,
absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. You know, this is the thing: ask questions, make connections, and you never know what comes of it. There's a great quote, you know, a man is not an island. You know, you gotta be connected to people. So. Now, your website relaunch is coming up in a few days, and you know, in the crypto space, there's a lot of, oh, we're going to have a rebrand or a website relaunch. People are really excited about this stuff. So what are the actual functionalities? Why should we be excited about the website relaunch? What are we going to see as new functionality?
It just moves us from, you know, the website's sort of been stuck in ICO mode, where we were letting people know basically what, you know, what we knew about the project at the time, where we were, and we're trying to raise funds, into the more production version. So we're educating people about the product. We've tried to maintain, be true to the brand, because people really love the logo and love the branding. And I agree, I love it. So we tried to be true to that, but, you know, make it very easy to understand, educate people about the product. And then ultimately we'll roll into some additions on that, where basically very soon you'll be able to come and pre-register to host your site on the decentralized web on top of Substratum. So that'll be coming into it very soon. We're also going to introduce, you know, a product store. A lot of people have said they want products. We've done some free t-shirt giveaways. We have a huge backlog of them, believe it or not. We've had to order more, and you know, just because we're appreciative that people have you know, caught on to our idea and have joined us, and you know, we want them to be able to represent us. So we've done that, a one-time giveaway, because international shipping is expensive, we've learned. But you know, so
it costs more than the t-shirt most of the time, probably.
Yeah, so we will be launching. Yeah, I think the shipping costs more than the shirt, but so we'll be launching that additionally pretty soon afterwards, as soon as we get some of that product in, where people can, if they want to, you know, join us in buying some gear and wearing it. But most of all, it just tells the story better, why we're doing what we're doing, you know, net neutrality, censorship, how we're doing it, you know, basically how, you know, how a node works, how a neighborhood of nodes works, things like that. And then basically, you know, helps you to connect and get involved if you want to. And then also, of course, there's, you know, blog, as we put out more information on there, and a press kit if you want, you know, additional, you know, like design resources and things like that to use in your. We've had a lot of people contact us just because they want to add Substratum to their app or something, you know, and they want a logo. So there's places for all that stuff to get on the new website. So it's really, I mean, I believe it came out really great, and people are going to be real excited about it. So that's a good little thing to drop there. So
cool, nice. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that as well. It's as I just checking the website today, it's just kind of see, oh, is it up? No, it's not up yet. And I was preparing for the interview, and I was like, oh, it's going to be interesting to see because that's exactly what I was thinking. That's still an ICO mode. It'll be interesting to see, what's
Yeah,
the
almost
product
out.
website. All right.
Another day or two at the most, June.
Oh, exciting stuff. Now, moving forward, what are, obviously more exchanges will be coming. I know the specifics of when that'll happen is tricky, but what is the problem with trying to get listed on more exchanges? I think a lot of people in the crypto space, as sort of end consumers, don't actually understand how difficult it is to get listed on these exchanges. So can you explain why it's so tricky and why it's kind of taken long to get listed on more exchanges?
Yeah, it is. So I mean, so we're on. First off, we're on a couple top 10 exchanges already. We won Binance Community of the Month poll #2, which was a month or so ago. I guess they all run together at this point in time. But so we won that, which was a community voted thing. So we were voted on. And so we've been trading there. And that's definitely our highest volume exchange right now. We're also on HitBTC, we're on COS, so Cosio, and then we're on KuCoin. And then a couple other smaller ones like Ether Delta, and which is terrible. But and then yeah. Wow. Yeah, wow. But so we're already on some high end exchanges now. But of course, things like Bittrex are still in our goal. We want to be on Bittrex. We're doing our best to get on Bittrex, but it is a process, and they do have a confidentiality clause of relaying where you are in that process, and so we are not allowed to share any more information. But it is still a goal. There's obviously still a great exchange, and we want to be on there. So it is, for people who aren't familiar with the process, it is difficult. There's new ICO project every 5 minutes, it seems like, and of course they all want to be on big exchanges. But exchanges obviously are businesses as well, and they want to list the coins that are basically have the highest community interest, which we believe we do, because we have currently, I guess, right at 14,000 Twitter followers, Slack community of 4,000 plus people that are in there all the time. Telegram group, we actually just kind of started building up a month or so ago, but we've already got, probably close to 2,000 people in there. So people are passionate about Substratum. And so we know we have the community interest, and the other part is volume, but lastly, they have to do due diligence on coins, with the recent everything that goes on with ICOs, and every time there's one that somebody, hurts the process by scamming people, like the one where the guy was backing it with diamonds or real estate or something that didn't exist, right? So that hurts everything in the ICO or in the crypto sphere, because it puts a greater kind of burden on these exchanges to make sure that these coins aren't scams and that they're not, and so even going further on where you have to either prove you're not a security based on SEC rules, or if you are a security, that you have like a money service business license. So it's a complex process, and to do it right. And obviously the bigger exchanges, not to mention they have a huge backlog. So right, because everyone wants to be on the biggest exchanges. So yeah, so it's a variety of factors, but just like with everything else, we try to be great at communicating with our people. We try to make sure we hit our deadlines. We're not lacking in that aspect either. We are being diligent with that. So hopefully that'll give our community some basically some security to know that we are working on that as well. So
yeah, very cool. Now, there is going to be a token burn coming up at some point in the future. Why token burns? What is this adding to your project when you do the token burns, and why are you doing another one?
So basically, we've already done 2 token burns for a total of 120 million substrate that have been basically pulled from circulation and will never be part of it again. So what that does is basically it adds value to anyone who currently has it, adds value to it, makes it a greater undervalued coin, because with less supply, the law of supply and demand. So as the supply decreases, the more this should be worth if somebody wants it, right? Because there's less of a place to get it. So that's the idea behind it. So we're basically just saying, okay, Originally, we set out and we created, I believe, 600 million Substrate at the beginning of the ICO, and we're thinking that we would sell maybe 350 or something like that, that we need a small portion, about 10%, to run the network for fees and things like that. But outside of that, anything that we haven't sold or hasn't been used, there's no reason to have there. So we're going to basically get rid of it, and that gives basically greater value to people who currently have it now. So people who buy it now, once that happens, it will be worth more. If you look back on historically on companies that have done this, the value of their coin does go up, just because of the law of supply and demand. So,
absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's the idea behind it. It is scheduled. Currently, there's a video on YouTube that you can see. It's on our Twitter feed somewhere as well. It's called Substratum Token Burn Strategy. And basically, token burn number 3 is scheduled for after we list on Bittrex. Now, that's kind of a date that's
sometime.
Yeah, sometime. But it's out there, and hopefully that's sooner rather than later. So.
Very cool. Now, what do you see as your biggest challenges moving forward? We got the beta testing that's going, we got the website coming. That's all great stuff. But what are your biggest challenges? What do you see?
So biggest challenges, of course, with anything, I think, are mass adoption. So that's to be honest, we've been really blessed and surprised with how many people have just kind of flocked to this so fast, because I just believe it's an issue that people believe in. That needs to happen, and it just seems to be like the right solution at the right time. But the biggest challenge with anything is always mass adoption. So it's how do I go from a few people using this to the whole world using this, right? And so the factors that we believe in that are, of course, taking good care of our community, because the word of mouth is absolutely the best form of advertising that you'll ever have. When someone going to someone saying, "Hey, this is great, you need to check this out," versus me popping up a Google ad in your face or something,
Exactly.
Google ads become noise after a while. But my friend telling me this is something great, this is world changing, particularly overseas in places where they are impacted so heavily by not only net neutrality, because net neutrality does, or where the lack of net neutrality rather, does exist in places all over the world already. But censorship, so places like China or Russia or Iran, where they can't get the information that we can get freely here. So for them to have someone come and say, "Hey, I installed this and I'm earning passive income," and it's basically letting everyone in China, for that matter, be able to see content that they wouldn't be able to otherwise see, is huge. So taking care of our community is number 1. Number 2 is good user interface, making things easy. And that's why people that will go and check out our videos on YouTube with that, I think they'll see that, we really have paid great attention to making things clean and easy to use and minimalistic, where they can just, it doesn't take a PhD in computer science to do it. It's sort of the point and click, drag and drop Apple, Google model, just it's easy to use. And then number 3, I think, is just community outreach. It goes on with a good advertising marketing plan from there, continuing to get people excited, and
sending more T-shirts.
Oh yeah. So I mean, that's the last thing. So I mean, just people like you will go and reach out to their, basically their audience. We've done other interviews with people like Data Dash who reached out to their audience. And I think that, just stuff like that. YouTube is an incredibly powerful platform. The problem is that even that's getting censored now, as you probably know, and demonetized and pulled from search and things like that. And so a goal of ours actually is future apps to build on top of Substratum, because Substratum, the word actually means foundation. That's how we chose it. And so the network is the foundation of future things to be built on top of it, and decentralized apps. And we're providing developer tools and SDKs and APIs for people to do that. But the first app that we want to build, obviously, is CryptoPay. It's been well advertised. It's basically a way of doing, basically bringing like PayPal checkout or Stripe checkout on your website, but with cryptocurrencies. And so that's one that we're building. But the next one actually is decentralized video, where we want to go and basically people on YouTubers are crying out for like a new platform where they're not going to be censored. And by the only way you can really ensure that the company doesn't go off and get greedy later on. I mean, we could turn into jerks later on and want to censor your content, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But by decentralizing it, just like with Bitcoin, once you release that out, it's gone. I can't control it anymore, other than, you know, doing a code update. But at that point, unless people run that new version of the code, if I write some terrible code, just like with Bitcoin, it's not going to get mass adopted, and so it's not going to. So that's the beauty with decentralization. So once we write that product and release it and put it out in the decentralized sphere or whatever, would be a perfect decentralized video platform where you can earn money and you can make video and you can share content. And it's completely community managed, and you know it's perfect at that point. It's the voice of the people versus the voice of the company doing what's best for them. So that's it's another goal that's a little bit further down the road, but you know, it's just goal. There's such a need, you know, when you watch, you look at so many people on YouTube just crying, hey, my video got censored or demonetized. I think even Casey Neistat, I saw a video where his video got, you know, demonetized, and that's, you know, you wouldn't think that would happen, him being as big of a YouTuber as it is, but you know, it happens all the time, and so that's definitely something that's on our radar as well.
That's it. And there's a whole host of basically keywords that, you know, activate this as well. Right. You know, I don't monetize my ads. I played around with it for a few times just because I'd heard other YouTubers say, oh, I'll get demonetized. Oh, let's try this out and see if it's true, actually. And, you know, when I did the Substratum review, it was actually one of the ones that got demonetized. And actually, it also activated the Chinese troll army that came over and started posting, you know nothing about China. China's amazing. Okay, I like China too, guys, but there's real internet freedom problems there, you know? So yeah. It's when I see that, I think, yes, this is the exact justification for this amazing technology you guys are developing. It's so gosh darn exciting. I love it. I love it. Projects like this are why I get involved in cryptocurrencies, and I think that's why you've got such a strong community, because people look at it and they realize the utility of it, and they also realize that this is the future of how things are going to operate. The internet has been, to an extent, hijacked by certain financial interests, and we need to take that power back, and the only way we're going to do it, not by politics, it's by technology, investing in that technology, and then actually using it. I've got a spare laptop here. It's definitely going to be running, you know, the network, so...
Awesome, man. Yeah, that's what we need. I mean, as you know, as we roll into beta, you know, beta is more about people constantly ask us, what's the minimum I need to run the node? Well, the honest answer is we don't know yet. So the only way we ever really know that is by deploying it out there in the mass and then receiving data back and saying, okay, once the guy has a machine with a 1.2 megahertz processor or something, it's just too slow. It's the sites render too latent, and it's just a bad user experience. So we have to cut it off at some point. But the only way to do that is to really have people help you. Now, granted, we've had thousands of people sign up to be a beta tester, which is wonderful. That's what we need. I'm hoping that at least 40% of them do what they said they would. Once we get to that point, because myself included, you sign up for stuff and then later you get busy or whatever, and you're like, I don't have time to do that. And so you plan on a small amount of attrition. But what we're looking for in the beta, like right now we're in private beta, right, where we have selected these people and we work on them on a very intimate basis with our development team, one-on-one to say, okay, what worked for you, what didn't. But once we're past that, which we will be soon, then we'll be able to say, okay, throw this out there to anybody that'll install it, and then just see what, basically what performed and what didn't. And then we can really give out things like what are the minimum specs for a node and things like that. So people ask that all the time, and it's not that we're being evasive. we don't want to answer. We just don't know the information yet until we run that in masses. I mean, we could guess, but I'd hate for somebody to go build a machine.
Guessing, right?
On the guess. Right. Yeah. So that's...
assumption is the mother of all screw ups, right? So.
Yeah.
Now, just a final point, if anybody wants to reach out and get involved in your community, what's the best way to do that?
Well, so absolutely, Twitter, we're extremely active on Twitter. So we post updates there several times a day. Some of them new, some of them things, just articles that we find interesting. Some of them basically, regurgitating information that's old. But because we've had so many, like over the last 3 days, we've had 1,000 new Twitter followers each day. So that's
massive.
a lot of
massive.
Yeah, that's a lot of new people that have never heard of you, that you want to basically get acquainted with you from the beginning. And so that's why we've kind of, at first we were just re-putting the videos out, but then people were saying, oh, I'm disappointed, you should be putting new videos out. So now we're just doing it as the Substratum Basics series, where, if you've been here with us since the beginning, don't have to look at this. But if you're new, this kind of gives you the overview, right? One of our very most basic videos called What You Need to Know About Substratum. And it's quick, it's a minute long, but it kind of gives you the quick 1 minute elevator pitch, so to speak, from somebody more eloquent than I am. So our spokesman. So that's a great way. If you want to be interactive and you want to be two-way with your communication, then Slack is probably the best way for that. I will post out a link as soon as we get off the interview here with our Slack invitation, where you can go and join up, because people ask for that consistently. And like I said, 4,000 people there. Most of them are very, very active. And we have admins that are part of our team that are almost, because they're in so many different time zones, almost around the clock. So if there's something you don't know or you want to know, and we know the answer to it, we'll gladly tell you. So that's number one for kind of bi-directional communication. The other way is Telegram is becoming more and more active. Like I said, we really focused on Slack in the beginning and built that community up. But then more and more people seem to want Telegram. So, we're somewhere, last I checked, it was over 1,000 users, closer to 2,000. So somewhere around there in the Telegram group. So I will also post a link to that. And then, YouTube's a great way. We try to do at least one update, a YouTube update video a week. We also post that to Twitter and Facebook. But it's at least one update a week that kind of just gives you a recap of what happened that week. And then if there's anything special, we'll do like a second video for that week. So we try to do those every week. So we probably got 40 videos. If you want to go out there and learn everything from the beginning about us, just go to YouTube channel and watch from the oldest to the newest, and you'll be pretty much caught up, because we do try to be very overly communicative. I mean, many people have said we're the best communicating ICO out there, bar none. So, and that's something we set out to do from the beginning, to be the most transparent and the most communicative. So that's probably the best ways. And then lastly, the website. Now I'm not sure when you'll post this video, if it's tonight or tomorrow, but as soon as that new website's up, of course, we will tweet that out, and that'll be a great source of information at that point. Currently there's, like I said, it's in ICO mode, the older one, and it's, the blog articles are probably great. But other than that, it's kind of, it was used for what it was, and we just haven't touched it because we've been focusing on the new one that we built from the ground up that we're real excited to release. So that's probably it.
Awesome. Yeah, go watch the YouTube videos, learn about it, then start telling your friends about it. That's the way it's done.
Absolutely. Yep.
Awesome, Justin. This has been a lot of fun. I think, anyone out there who hasn't heard about Substrat yet, they're going to get a good idea about it. And I think, for anybody out there who's been in it for a while, I hope this was a lot of fun for them as well. I know it's been fun for me. So.
Yep, fun for me too. Appreciate it.
Cool. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time.
Thanks.